Hey, I'm Sergey, a cinematographer and filmmaker based in Kiev. Back in August last year, I had the honor of shooting a video for Ukraine's military intelligence for Independence Day. On this project, I took on pretty much everything. I was the DP, the director and editor. I did the sound design and color grading too. And I want to show you how it was. But first, let's check out the final result.
Sometimes I catch myself wondering, what even is Ukraine? Not the place on the map, not something you can draw borders around. Sometimes it's hard to figure out why I'm still here. Sure, there's land, people, history, but is that really enough to hold on to? I've watched friends lay down their lives for these fields, these cities. Were they thinking about Ukraine in that moment? Or did they just not have a choice? And then, I think of those waiting for me back home. And I start to realize, it's not about big speeches or grand ideas. It's about something deeper. Independence. Maybe it's knowing you could leave, but choosing to stay. Because this is home. Because without it, you're not really you anymore. Because when you lose the ones you love, you realize you're fighting not just for land, but for the chance to live life on your own terms.
I can proudly say this is one of the strongest pieces in my portfolio right now. In fact, it's currently being used as a banner on the official GUR website, which is wild. In this video I'll talk about the shoot, the creative and technical choices I made, and how I worked when time and resources are super limited. I figured some of you might be curious about the editing and sound design process, so I'll be doing a separate deep dive video just about the post-production, where I'll break it all down in detail. So let's start at the beginning. The project kicked off me with a brief, and here's what it said. A soldier prepares for a combat mission, gears up, and reflects. The voiceover represents his thoughts. That's it. I had a general direction and an idea. The rest was pure improvisation. We had one shooting day, 2 locations, and 3 guys fully geared up with combat outfits. My main camera was a first-gen Blackmagic Ursa 4.6K. Most of the shots were done on this little vintage German lens, a Meyer Optic 50mm. I also had a Tokina 1116 wide-angle, 1 LED panel mat, and an Sennheiser MKS 600, which I also used to record custom sounds later for the sound design. First location, the shooting range room. This is where we shoot the soldiers gearing up. We added some haze and color lighting for atmosphere. We had a few RGB LED lights with softboxes, and one of them I used for red fill light. As you see, I barely used my LED mat, except for a few shots when I wanted a bit more dynamic lighting. I love shooting handheld. I don't really use gimbals. First of all, they are not always necessary, and second, I like how handheld movement brings emotions. It makes the camera feel alive and helps me stay connected to the space and the scene. And with a heavy camera like the Ursa, if you brace in right against your body, you can still get those smooth cinematic shots. Since we didn't have a strict storyboard, I shoot with editing in mind, collecting various framings, details and coverage, to make sure I'd have everything I need to build the story later. The vibe of the prep part is more calm and focused, but still emotionally tense. At the range, we went for action. I killed all the lights except one RGB, dialed it to green to give that night vision look. I figured the best way to frame it was shooting towards the wall. That compressed the space and make it feel like a tight corridor, like they were cleaning a room. Since we were using live ammo, rule number 1, safety. So we ran a quick rehearsal, and then we went for it. I gave the camera extra motion and energy. To wrap the location, we shoot a final wide silhouette shot, kind of epic. I also took the chance to grab some wheat fields and sunset texture to add more atmosphere later in the edit. One thing I love about my Ursa is the form factor. If you don't load it with a ton of accessories, it stays pretty minimal and super balanced. You can shoot handheld without a stabilizer and still get the cinematic breath in the image. It's also easy to grip for any side and press into your body for extra stability. And even though this camera 10 years old, it still totally holds up. Drop a like if those silhouettes shots remind you of a Sicario movie. Then we headed out to the fields. And this part was fun. Running through the wet, we got some really poetic footage. Same location, totally different energy. Later on, we shoot a few more scenes here that helped bring in the emotion I was looking for. I'd call this combat flashbacks. To get that raw look, I switched from 50 frames per second slow-mo back to 25 frames. Sound design really helped build tension and add deep, to hint at everything happening off scene. As night fell, we brought out the lights again and recreate the night vision look. Even though the sun was gone, the sky still had some light, which gave our night shots more dimension, not just pitch black. Smoke plus laser equals cinematic gold, and yeah, we managed to catch the laser in the shot too, which I was stoked about. Actually, that one was on iPhone 2. The Ursa couldn't really handle the low light anymore at that point. In total, there are only 2 phones shots in the final video. That one and another through the night vision scope. The phone lens fit perfectly into the eyepiece. So yeah, that's the story behind the shot. Hope it was interesting for you to hear. Don't forget to subscribe if you wanna see more breakdowns like this. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next one.